Chapter 321, Xiao's Choice, Devil Sword in Flesh, CL by Babelson. At the moment Tang San wasn't going to reflect on how this Asura god power was related to him or how destroying it would influence him. All he thought of was to make sure Xiao was fine. Even if he died, he couldn't let this Asura god's energy hurt her. Tang San didn't react slowly, but all this happened too fast. From that Asura god power entering Xiao to the moment Tang San reacted to help, even though it was just one short second, to a god level force. This second was enough. The Asura god's power only gave Xiao a refreshing and gentle feeling. At most it was a bit fast, but in Tang San's senses, this force was entirely destructive. Xiao's spirit power met it, but basically couldn't even hinder it. That terrifying Asura god's power was like a sharp needle, rigidly passing through Xiao's spirit power blocks, directly pouring into her veins. This moment, Tang San's sea god divine power also came chasing, but once he caught up, the Asura god's power had already split in countless directions, simultaneously infiltrating Xiao's different energy channels, sticking close to them, actually melding together with them. Even though Tang San charged up momentum, preparing to rely on his divine power to surround and annihilate it, now he didn't have anywhere to start, unless he was prepared to ruin Xiao's energy channels. Otherwise, he could do nothing about the Asura god's power now. How come? Tang San screamed inwardly. All he could do now was to do his best to infuse his own sea god's power into Xiao's energy channels, protecting them for fear that the Asura god's power would suddenly explode, destroying Xiao. But, shocking Tang San, after those countless Asura god power pieces blended into Xiao's energy channels, they immediately began to fuse. There were no signs of an eruption, so much that it didn't even radiate a bit of killing intent. Tang San watched blankly as Xiao's originally slightly haloed golden energy channels turned pure golden under the Asura god power's influence. A dark gold filled with chilling killing intent. This, just what? Regardless of Tang San's intelligence, right now he couldn't help being dumbfounded. He clearly felt how the mental link between him and Xiao that originally needed extreme nervousness or full attention to slightly sense, now became completely clear, especially the feeling of blood connection became especially distinct. It was as if Xiao had become an extension of his left hand, a part of him. As Tang San slowly opened his eyes, they were filled with incredulity as he looked at Xiao. He was a bit speechless. Xiao seemed no worse off, her charming face colored with a faint blush, just like a red apple, perfectly agreeable. Her energy aura actually broke through once again along with the Asura god powers merging, charging through the rank 95, bottleneck into rank 96. Even Tang San needed to search with his sea god divine senses to sense the Asura god's power she contained. Retracting his hands, Tang San firmly watched Xiao in front of him. Right now he was completely terrified, fearful that Xiao's body would suddenly explode from that frightful Asura god's power the next instant. All he could do now was pray. Xiao's body might already be permeated with the Asura god's power. Even Tang San could do nothing to stop it from erupting. At this moment, nobody noticed a dark red light suddenly rising in a corner, floating in Xiao and Tang San's direction. Tang San's divine sense twitched, and he instantly sensed its existence. When he turned his head to look, the 2-meter-long Asura devil sword that he had practically forgotten in the sea god hall was slowly floating towards Xiao. Strangely, before Tang San inherited the sea god's divine power, the incredible thirst he had felt for this devil sword's power, the extreme desire to feel it grasped in his left hand, was now already gone. Regarding this bit, Tang San wasn't surprised. After all, he had now already become the sea god, but he no longer felt anything for another god's inheritance was normal. Golden blue light flashed in his right hand, the sea god trident appearing in his grasp. A halo of golden blue light appeared in front of him and Xiao, the intense sea god energy instantly blocking that uncalled for Asura devil sword outside. The Asura god energy had already fused into Xiao's body, and now this Asura devil sword came flying. All kinds of unclear signs made Tang San perplexed, but his fear faded a bit. It seems to be looking for me. Xiao's voice echoed next to Tang San. Having absorbed the spirit ring, she had already opened her eyes, fixedly watching that Asura devil sword, her eyes filled with a thirsty light. Illuminated by the Asura devil sword's deep red light, Xiao's skin seemed to reveal faint deep red magic patterns. Looking for you? Tang San turned his head to glance at Xiao. Suddenly, he had a thought. Xiao was like Ning Rongrong and Oscar, having just reached title Douluo level strength. She also possessed his aura. Could it be that after the Asura god's divinity discovered it couldn't be inherited by him, it felt that Xiao already possessed equivalent strength as well as his scent, and specially guided his evolved Asura domain into her body to accept his inheritance? If that was the case, it was a good thing. From an emotional point of view, Tang San really wasn't interested in the Asura god. That he chose to inherit the sea god was admittedly related to already having passed 8 sea god trials, but was also closely related to what he felt about the Asura god. After all, in order to inherit the Asura god, his great-grandfather had spent his life without succeeding. Thus, Asura god power was also too overbearing, filled with incredibly cold murderous spirit. The stronger it was, the harder it was to control. Nowhere was it as familiar to him as the sea god's divine power. Now that it seems like the Asura god had chosen Xiao, even though Tang San felt that this should be a good thing, he still couldn't be happy. Becoming the god of Asura was definitely extremely dangerous, and even though Xiao's strength had already reached a reasonable level, there was still a large gap to inheriting divinity. And in this process, even if there were no accidents, mortal danger might still appear. And how could Xiao withstand the Asura god's ice-cold killing intent? In fact, the stronger the god, the more dangerous the inheritance. Even if Xiao's gentle temperament hid persistence, facing an incredible sharp divinity like the Asura god, could she succeed? Tang San felt conflicted. With his god-level power, he could naturally block the Asura devil sword from flying over to Xiao. As long as he relied on the sea god trident, he could naturally stop the sword that was only drawn over by the energy. After all, he was a true god here, while that Asura devil sword only contained the Asura god's energy. But this was definitely an opportunity for Xiao. Tang San could be certain that this flying sword definitely held no malice towards Xiao. Otherwise, the Asura god energy that poured into her before could easily kill her, and even he would be unable to stop it. There really was no need to call over this devil sword as well. Tang San looked at Xiao, his expression extremely serious. Xiao, just now the energy of the Asura domain that evolved from my death god domain poured into you. You should have felt it as well. It's that ice-cold energy. This Asura devil sword is also the treasure my great-grandfather Tang Chen left behind, a weapon on the same level as the sea god trident. The sea god trident. That it's flying towards you now might be to give you a chance for the Asura god's inheritance. But the Asura god is a rather powerful divinity. It should be the god of slaughter. Completing his inheritance would definitely be extremely dangerous. My great-grandfather tried all his life without success. I'm worried it will be dangerous. Whether to accept it is up to you. Tang San really didn't know what he should do. To Xiao, this Asura devil sword was a double-edged blade. Only Xiao herself could decide. Listening to Tang San, Xiao's eyes immediately brightened, answering practically without hesitation. I accept it. Tang San hadn't thought Xiao would answer so quickly, and couldn't help saying, Xiao, you have to think it through. The Asura god inheritance's difficulty might be above my sea gods. You saw the sea god inheritance. You were with me practically the whole time. Have you really thought about it? If you accept this inheritance, you will have to complete it. There will be no chance for regret. Xiao firmly said, I accept it. Listen to me. To catch the eye of a divinity might be even harder than inheriting it. You've already become the sea god. If I am to stay with you forever, I have to become a god too. Which road to becoming a god isn't dangerous? Besides, I don't know if I'll be able to find another divinity later. I don't want to leave you. I want to be with you forever. So let me try. With you helping me, I'll definitely have a chance. Otherwise this Asura devil sword wouldn't have chosen me. Seeing Xiao's resolute gaze, Tang San slowly nodded, his heart turning. After all, this Asura devil sword was something his great-grandfather had gotten over many years in hell, and according to the words he'd left behind, this devil sword in itself meant you had already passed a portion of the Asura god's inheritance. Under such circumstances, Xiao's chances of success weren't small. What she said made sense. With him by her side, if there was danger he could definitely help her. Since that's the case, be careful. While speaking, Tang San withdrew his sea god trident, turning around and standing next to Xiao Wu, his divine sense firmly locked on that Asura devil sword. Even though he knew the sword likely wouldn't harm Xiao Wu, but out of concern for his lover, he was still cautiously ready to meet any contingencies. Without the sea god trident to stop it, red light flashed, and that Asura devil sword arrived in front of Xiao Wu. A strange scene appeared, as that Asura devil sword came within 3 meters of her. With a flash of red light, that giant devil sword suddenly transformed into 9 red streams, floating in the air, each pouring into Xiao Wu in different parts of her body. Instantly, dark red magic patterns appeared on Xiao Wu's originally fair skin. These patterns didn't appear directly in her skin, but rather as an energy hovering an inch above her skin. Tang San clearly sensed how this energy contained a terrifying presence, but ice-cold slaughter intent making even him as a sea god frown. Xiao Wu didn't feel anything. He only felt 9 cool flows into her body, incredibly refreshing. Very soon, those 9 streams had blended into her body, and the dark red patterns over her skin also gradually faded, disappearing into her. It caused no other changes. Seeing Xiao Wu return to normal, Tang San also heaved a sigh of relief. At least there was no problem at the moment. He quickly asked, Xiao Wu, is there any voice prompting you? Xiao Wu shook her head. None. Only that very cold flow, and then it poured into me. I don't feel anything unusual. No prompts either. Listening to Xiao Wu's answer, Tang San couldn't help smiling wryly. This Asura god really didn't take the common route. His method for choosing successors was so weird. Only, judging by the present circumstances, since Xiao Wu had assimilated his energy, there shouldn't be any major issues. At least there were signs of inheritance. It should just be that Xiao Wu's strength still hadn't reached the corresponding requirements, and so there was no prompts from the Asura god. According to the present circumstances, Tang San's judgment was clearly the most rational, but he still overlooked one thing. Even though a portion of his Asura domain's energy was transmitted to Xiao Wu, fusing with her, the Asura domain on his clear sky hammer still hadn't disappeared. It still remained. In fact, Tang San's judgment really wasn't correct. The Asura devil sword entering Xiao Wu absolutely wasn't as simple as he imagined. It was just that the present circumstances didn't give him enough to work it out. Tang San held Xiao Wu's hand, inspecting her condition. He discovered that the Xiao Wu's energy channels, blood and muscles had already turned dark golden, but apart from this there was nothing special. After the color change, Xiao Wu's body was just imperceptibly being nourished by the Asura god's power, everything heading in the right direction. Tang San searched a few times, making sure Xiao Wu's condition, then didn't need to keep worrying at the moment. So far, the Shrek 7 Devils' last title Douluo had also appeared. In spirit power, Xiao Wu had even surpassed Daimubai's 95 ranks, becoming the strongest spirit power of the Shrek 7 Devils besides Tang San. Little San, let's hurry and go. To avoid anything happening at Jelling Pass, seeing that Xiao Wu had also completed the absorption, Daimubai proposed. They had also had Tang San and Xiao Wu talking before, and Daimubai couldn't help feeling a bit envious at another of their comrades drawing the eye of a divinity. But now wasn't the time to think about divinity. All that would have to wait until the spirit empire was eradicated. Tang San nodded. Let's go. While speaking, he walked up to the 7 sacred sea god pillar guardian Douluo. Seniors, the sea god island will be left to you. We don't know when we'll be able to return, but don't worry. I've left a portion of divine sense on the sea god mountain. If anything happens, you just need to call out my name on the central platform, and I'll hear your voice. The guardian Douluo bowed together. We wish you success, Lord Sea God. Golden blue light blossomed from Tang San, turning into a giant ring of light that enveloped him and his comrades. With a flash of light, everyone had left with a sparkle. In order to rush back to Jelling Pass, they didn't even have time to call out to Xiaobai. Only, Tang San's first destination after leaving Sea God Island wasn't back at the Douluo Continent. Purple Pearl Island. Ji Xiang stood on the sandy shore, looking at a wooden board 30 meters away, his energy seeming to focus in his eyes. In the depths of his eyes, purple energy seemed to be faintly visible. Suddenly, Ji Xiang moved slightly, his whole body quickly flickering in place. What he used was Tang San's profoundly mysterious ghost shadow perplexing step. Even if Ji Xiang's ghost shadow perplexing step couldn't compare to Tang San, he was already extremely practiced with it. He could already form a series of after images in his surroundings. 9 cold lights floated out, cutting through the air in 9 different directions. Light flashed, a dull thwack sounded, and the 9 cold lights simultaneously hit the wooden board 30 meters away. Because they hit at the same instant, they only produced one sound. Those were 9 willow leaf flying knives, stuck in the wooden board like leaves sprouting. They were stuck in a circle, the exact same distance between each knife. Whether in technique or eyesight, Ji Xiang had already practiced this throwing knife technique to perfection. Ever since Tang San had taken him as a disciple 6 years ago, imparting him the Tang Sect's secret law, Ji Xiang had trained day and night. A spirit would no longer become an obstacle to his cultivation. He'd matured extremely quickly in a short 6 years, and adding in Tang San's help to him back then, he had already vaguely become the number 2 expert on Purple Pearl Island after Purple Pearl. Exhaling slowly, Ji Xiang stood straight, his eyes showing happiness. It seems I can practice the next hidden weapon technique. I wonder if that strange scene in Sea God Island's direction was as they say, the sea god descending. Yee, what's that? Suddenly, a dot of golden blue light in the direction Ji Xiang was looking quickly flew towards Purple Pearl Island. In 6 years of cultivation, his purple demon eye had already reached a certain level, his eyesight much stronger than ordinary people. But however he stared, he still couldn't tell just what that golden blue light was. That golden blue light was extremely fast. In practically just a few breaths it had already grown in front of him. Ji Xiang quickly buckled up a brace of throwing needles, calmly retreating towards the center of the island. But he always faced that golden blue light. He had learned this from Tang San, to never turn your back on the enemy. Ji Xiang remembered each of Tang San's lessons deeply, and reality had proven that the things Tang San taught him were the truth. Ji Xiang, don't be nervous. The golden blue light flashed, blinding Ji Xiang for a moment, and then 7 people stood on the beach. Seeing these 7, he was first shocked. Then, his eyes froze on the golden blue robed youth leading them. Golden blue long hair scattered across his shoulders, a faint smile on his handsome face, a graceful, hallowed temperament, that expression that made Ji Xiang tremble from his heart, as well as the fully familiar presence. All of it, everything was familiar, and also a bit unfamiliar. In 6 years, Tang San's appearance hadn't changed much. What changed was his temperament. After all, he had experience going from human to god. How could he seem the same? Teacher. Ji Xiang stumbled forward, falling to his knees and kowtowing to Tang San. His always dull nature now couldn't help growing excited. Tang San could be said to have given him a new life, and he had a heartfelt reverence towards this teacher that was barely older than him. Tang San smiled, and with a wave of his right hand, a gentle force pulled Ji Xiang up. No need for ceremony. Your progress over 6 years is a pleasant surprise. It seems you've always been working hard with cultivation. Ji Xiang nodded hard, already choked speechless with emotion. Tang San said, you are my only named disciple. The ban on Sea God Island has already been lifted. If you wish, you can go there to cultivate. While speaking, Tang San raised his hand and pointed in Ji Xiang's direction. A golden blue light was instantly branded on his forehead, astonishingly with a trident design, just like the Sea God trident on Tang San's forehead. Only, the brand on Ji Xiang's forehead was only a seal Tang San left for him with divine sense. With this mark, whether the 7 sacred Sea God pillar guardian Douluo or the devil spirit great white shark pack, all would admit him. Tang San turned to look at Xiao Wu, who smiled slightly, handing her last god bestowed spirit ring to him. Tang San said to Ji Xiang, this god bestowed spirit ring is for you, but you must keep it for when you attack the ninth spirit ring in the future. I still have important matters to attend to. If you go to Sea God Island, as long as you let them see the brand on your forehead, they will believe your identity. Tell them you are the Sea God's disciple. We have to go. If everything goes smoothly, perhaps we will meet again in a few years. Smiling and nodding to Ji Xiang, Tang San raised his right hand, and the golden blue halo appeared again. With a flash of light, that giant halo carried Tang San and the others to instantly shoot into the air, disappearing in the distant blue sky in just the blink of an eye. Teacher, Ji Xiang shouted. He only reacted now. Looking at the god-bestowed spirit ring in his hand, tears instantly rolled down. Even though Tang San only stayed for a short time, in his heart Ji Xiang was shouting wildly, Teacher didn't forget me. He still remembers me. But why did Teacher leave so soon? I didn't have time to say anything. To show you the hidden weapons techniques I've practiced. Kneeling in the sand, Ji Xiang crawled forward a few steps. As he became aware he couldn't possibly catch up to Tang San, he threw himself flat, kowtowing in the direction Tang San left. Ji Xiang, what are you doing? A familiar woman's voice sounded behind him. Still garbed entirely in purple. Purple Pearl arrived next to Ji Xiang Xiang in a few bounds, her voice a bit puzzled. Just now the brothers reported that they saw some golden blue light fly towards our purple pearl island. Did you see it? Ji Xiang still knelt in the sand, muttering. Teacher, that was teacher. Purple pearl pulled Ji Xiang upright. What did you say? It was Tang San. He, they? Purple Pearl asked a bit excited. Not so long ago, the word man was synonymous to filth in her heart. But that man still left her with too deep an impression. 6 years had gone by, but she was still unable to forget the scene of him fighting to save his comrades. His calm ease, the strength with which he suppressed her, as well as the coldly detached expression, still vivid. Teacher left. Teacher left. Ji Xiang wiped the tears from his face. Speaking in a trembling voice, he slowly looked at Purple Pearl. Big sis, did you know? Teacher said, afterwards I can tell others. I'm the sea god's disciple. Purple Pearl stared at him. The sea god, Jelling Pass. Close to a month had passed, and the walls of Jelling Pass were already repaired. Only the moat outside still didn't draw river water. After the Spirit Empire army cleaned up the corpses from the moat, they dammed the river and raised large numbers of sharpened stakes. Even though this defense was nowhere as good as water, at least it wouldn't be as strong. The scene of Tang San using the river water to attack the fortress in the great battle really was too shocking, leading to the Spirit Empire army basically not daring to fill it up again. Even though the walls of Jelling Pass were mended, compared to before, there were a lot of visible patches. That exterior appearance really was less than impressive. Of course, to the Spirit Empire, that wasn't what was important. The real defensive power of the walls was what they needed now. In the last month, the Heaven Do Empire army had retreated 50 li, constructing a carefully planned camp and all sorts of defensive installations, but they still hadn't taken the initiative to attack again. The sight gave the defenders the feeling that they were preparing for a protracted war. Within Jelling Pass, ever since BB Dong was forced back to Spirit City by the 6 priests, the army here had been under their command, and as the second priest, Golden Crocodile Douluo had definitely become the highest authority in Jelling Pass. Golden Crocodile Douluo was of course happy to see the Heaven Do Empire pull back their camp and settle in for a long war. After all, them 6 priests knew that Chen Rinchu was undergoing the trials of the God of Angels. Their purpose in coming here wasn't to help the Spirit Empire out the Heaven Do Empire, but rather to seize the leadership from BB Dong's hands. Steadily guarding Jelling Pass was enough, and now it seems their mission was well completed. In close to a month, the Heaven Do Empire had never taken the initiative to attack, and Golden Crocodile Douluo had once sent small Spirit Master teams to quietly investigate, but never gained anything. The Heaven Do Empire's flying pure speed type Spirit Masters were too fast, and their eyesight was astonishing. In order to benefit the defense of Jelling Pass, fortifying the defenses and raising the land for the enemy, the land in front of the pass was a vast plain. In order to approach the Heaven Do Imperial Army camp under such circumstances was no doubt extremely difficult. After a few failures, Golden Crocodile Douluo might as well not send anyone else. He just ordered the Spirit Empire defenders in the past to restore the defenses and clean up the moat, and at the same time use the Spirit Master legions to tightly control the military leadership of the various kingdoms and reinforce training. He had no fear of a protracted war, even leaving aside Chen Rinchu arriving after becoming god. The millions of soldiers on the other side consumed an astronomical amount of provisions and supplies every day. Meanwhile, Jelling Pass had plenty of rations, and with the Spirit Empire behind them, supply was much easier. Were it not for the Heaven Do Empire really having a lot of powers to intimidate him, especially Tang San and his father, Golden Crocodile Douluo might have quietly brought a few priests over to the other side of the empire to deal with the Douluo Empire army. Golden Crocodile Douluo was aged and experienced, and decided to first settle down Jelling Pass before anything else. Partly because it really wouldn't be easy for the Douluo Empire to break through on the other side, and partly to wrestle control over the army here and wait for Chen Rinchu's arrival. As long as Chen Rinchu successfully inherited divinity and stood before both armies, no matter how many mid and low-level Spirit Masters supported BB Dong, authority over the Spirit Empire would still be wrested back. As for the Heaven Do Imperial Army, that was even less of an issue. With a god-level power to lead them, destroying the Heaven Do Empire was as easy as turning over a palm. Golden Crocodile Douluo was just now leading the other 5 priests on the walls, gazing towards the distant Heaven Do army camp. Is there news from Spirit City? Golden Crocodile Douluo asked. The priests next to him had just been convened, and they of course understood what Golden Crocodile Douluo meant. The 5th priest carefully lowered his voice, his expression excited. Second brother, it might have succeeded. I just got word that roughly a month ago, there was a manifestation in our Spirit City. There was a scene of violent golden light shooting to the sky, with a sacred aura like a god descending. I think the young mistress should have succeeded. Listening to the 5th priest, Golden Crocodile Douluo still wasn't excited, rather frowning. What did you say? A month ago? Not good. Something might have gone wrong. While speaking, his expression changed a bit. The 5th priest said doubtfully, second brother, no way. According to the information, it should definitely have been the young mistress succeeding. Golden Crocodile Douluo shook his head, lowering his voice. Back then the high priest instructed me that if the young lady completed the divinity inheritance, she would instantly rush over to Jelling Pass to convene with us. If the young lady really successfully inherited the god of angels, a whole month would already have gone by. So why hasn't she come yet? I fear. The 4th priest said, second brother, aren't you overthinking it? Didn't the high priest say that the young lady had at least an 80% chance of completing the inheritance? None of us understand the circumstances of inheriting divinity. I think since she has become god, the divine power is so enormous that even the young lady might need some time to fully absorb it after completing the inheritance and familiarize herself with all the god-level abilities. She might be delayed because of this. Golden Crocodile Douluo's expression eased a bit, nodding. That's possible. You're right, we don't know the circumstances of inheriting divinity. I hope the young lady can rush over soon. Like that, we'll also have a supporting pillar. My greatest wish is to be able to help the young lady unify the continent. Second brother, look, what's that? The 3rd priest to the side suddenly pointed. His spirit made his eyesight the strongest. The 6 priests all looked in the direction he pointed, to see a golden speck of light growing brighter and brighter on the horizon. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.